and welcome to A Cup of Conversation on BRT TV. This week I have a new friend in the studio. Met her literally minutes before this interview, and it's the lovely Ayda Sabri, and she's from Australia, a Turkish Cypriot who is doing great fundraising work, charity work, a philanthropist. She is an amazing, inspiring woman, and I'd like to thank Pembe Mentesh for introducing me to Ayda, and I'd like to thank Ayda for joining me today on the programme during her busy schedule, her short time on the island of Cyprus. So first of all, Ayda, welcome to the programme.
Thank you very much, John. It's a pleasure.
It's great to have you here, and it's a lovely person to be interviewing. You've got such great energy, positive energy that you bring with you. Now, Ayda, you're a Turkish Cypriot. You were born on the island, is that right?
That's correct. I was born in the south of Cyprus, born in Nicosia. My father's from Pirga, my mother from Kofinya. We immigrated to Cyprus in 1972, so I was around 3 years old.
Yeah. So you grew up in Australia.
Yes, Melbourne. Beautiful Melbourne, yes.
Lovely.
You should come and visit one day.
One day, fingers crossed. I've never been to that part of the world,
it's a
but
beautiful, beautiful place.
I need a long break to be able to fit in a trip to Australia. So you're from Melbourne.
Yes.
And you grew up there, educated there.
Yes.
In Australia. And the reason why you're here today is because you're doing a great job with your NGO. Now, this is Gift a Dream Foundation, and you are gifting education, gifting birth certificates, and in fact, on the 24th of February, you held an event, or you were part of an event, the 8th Annual Gratitude Day, which was held in the south of Nicosia. This was part of Without Borders project, and it was a day with kids, with activities, workshops, photography, exhibitions, lectures about volunteering, much, much more, raising awareness and raising, hopefully, lots of money for your Gift a Dream. Before we talk about that, let's go back to Australia.
Sure.
Now, when you're growing up there, even though you are doing fundraising work, you must have a 9-to-5 job. What's your job?
Well, I don't call it 9 to 5. Sometimes it starts earlier, sometimes it finishes more. I have a business, it's called Here, There, Thinking, and it really is focused on working with people. I love working with people. So the work that I do is I develop programs, and those programs include leadership programs. I do some life coaching. I do business consulting and strategic work as well with businesses. So quite diverse.
Quite diverse.
Yeah.
But you like working with people, obviously.
Clearly, because I'm always around people, right? Yes.
And for the past year, you've been travelling around the world.
Well,
practically.
Yeah, you could say that. So I had this dream, you know, everyone has a bucket list.
Yeah.
So 15 years ago, I decided that at some point in my life that I would take a year off. I would travel, meet people, and I always wanted to be a philanthropist and help more people, but I didn't quite know how, but I just had this idea. So in the last year, although I go to India every year and I go to other countries to do the NGO work, yes, I've had the privilege of travelling with my husband, who's now in Australia, and he's been organising the events there and doing fundraising there as well. So I'm very supportive, very lucky.
It's because you have a partner who supports you in your work.
In both in my business life, in my personal life, and he's a very important part of my NGO as well.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Now let me read out some information that I found online that you sent me recently. Now, since 2012, Ayda has been organising and spearheading a small-scale community welfare programme in southern India with a focus on the education of young children. Her efforts have since drawn support and encouragement from her family and friends. Not only India, you've got Gift a Dream Foundation, which supports and sponsors the education of 45 children in Bangalore, India, but also in Kenya, Gift a Dream Foundation supports and sponsors educational skill-building programs for children with disabilities at the Mary Rice Disability Centre.
That's right.
So you are, even though you are from Australia, Melbourne, you're actually supporting children, families in India and Kenya.
That's correct.
So tell me, how did this NGO, it's a long, long story, I know, but if you can condense it into a few minutes, how did Gift a Dream Foundation begin?
All right, so in 2011, I was teaching at an international college. I was teaching business, and I had an Indian student who was going to go back to India in Kerala and get married, and she insisted I go to the wedding. I thought it was a little bit out of reach. Just my life was really busy at that time. And her father rang me up and said, we'd love to have you come along to the wedding. I always want to see the Taj Mahal, and I thought, oh, okay, maybe. Before I knew it, I was in India, I was in Delhi. And Delhi was a really new, extraordinary experience for me because I'd never been to a third world country. I'd travelled Europe and Asia, but not in anything like India. So it was a bit of a culture shock. But I saw the Taj Mahal. Everyone should see it. It's incredible. And Taj Mahal's in Agra, and that again was an experience. So went to the wedding, experienced India, returned back to India the following year to travel some more. And I was gone for about 7 weeks. And at that point, met more people, saw more, experienced more, and decided that maybe I should do something. So I returned the following, I think 3 or 4 months later with a friend. We visited over 400 children, 5, 6 different NGOs. And there was one NGO that really connected with me because it was a couple of an elderly couple, and they were in their late 60s, who'd been doing this kind of work for 20 years. Incredibly human beings of compassion, empathy, dedication, and just really giving to other human beings. For me, it was incredible to meet people like that because coming from a Western world, we're so different, we're so privileged, but we don't see it.
Yeah.
And they were about to close down. They had 19 children at the time, and at that point, they only funded what was called a study centre, small room where they enabled and had a place for children to come in, study, do their homework, and something to eat. So I left them with $1,000 and promised them just to not close it down, let the children come back, have something to eat, a place to study, and that's how my journey started. John, I got on the plane, I turned to my friend and said, oh my God, I've just made this promise, how am I going to do it? So I went back to Australia, landed, and so I decided to play a game. In 10 days, we were going to raise $5,000, and this is how we did it. We shook tins. I shared all my story with everyone I could meet and see.
Yeah.
We raised $5,700 in 10 days.
Amazing.
Oh, it was amazing because it really I got to see that, you know what, if you ask people for help and ask people to help other human beings, especially children, they do it. Yes, some say no, but people all say yes, and they get moved, and then they also say, how can I help? What more can I do?
Yeah.
So since then, we have taken 93 children through. Some, unfortunately, we've lost because of the cultures. They marry them young, 14, 15. They send them to work. We lose them, they send them to the village. But we're sitting at about 45 children, and I'm delighted to say and excited to say we now have girls who have graduated university, have got a job,
Fantastic.
and now the families change. So that's how it started.
What an amazing story, though. Just one student of yours inviting you to her wedding in India, and you taking up that offer and going and visiting India and being overwhelmed. A lot of people can just enjoy that holiday, that break, and go back and carry on with their lives. But obviously, you wanted to do more, and you have done more since that time.
Oh, we've done a lot more. We've so since the foundation started, I've been working with organisations in Australia. And we've been creating and delivering programs for asylum seekers and refugee women. I've been coaching and mentoring people in that sector as well. You know, the world has changed. You know, people are becoming immigrants in the sense of refugees and asylum seekers. So it was our foundation's way of helping out and reaching women and the youth as well, because that journey can be emotionally traumatic, and immigrating in a new country can be difficult. And I suppose because my family immigrated when I was 3, I remember as a child the discrimination I experienced. So maybe it's that as well. Yeah. It's you know, having that empathy for immigrants and refugees and asylum seekers now. We cook and we feed the homeless. We've run programs with gift a birth certificate I was telling you in Burundi. So what that project was about is, so in Burundi there's been a lot of conflict over the many years, and there's gender violence and domestic violence and AIDS issues, and a lot of women were left pregnant having children. And in rural areas, in some areas, they weren't able to register them for birth certificates.
Yeah.
No birth certificates, no identity. No identity, no access to the right for education and medical help. So in the program where I ran for empowering young ladies and women, a young lady who was a journalist in Burundi can no longer return for now. She came to me and said, this is what I want to do. I want to raise money to help register these children to have a birth certificate. So her mother has an NGO in Burundi. And so I partnered up with her and we raised more than enough money to register over 300 children for birth certificates. And they're also running some other programs for the centre as well. Yeah.
Because as you were saying off air before the interview, if you register late, there's a fee, isn't there, to pay? There's a penalty. There's a penalty.
And so that's what the funds were.
And that's another deterrent. If they can't afford to pay for the fee to register their child, they won't register their child. But we take things for granted.
I was just going to say that. We do. Like in the Western country, even in Cyprus, you have the right to education and the access to quality education. You know, birth certificates is not something that even occurred to me in Australia, as it wouldn't be here. You don't think about it.
It's automatic.
It's automatic in nowadays. It's, you know, a long time ago, I don't know, but nowadays, you know, the things that we take granted for, I mean, you know, my experience in travelling in Kenya and India, like running water, warm water, you know, hot water, have a shower, clean streets. We just take those things for granted.
What's your link with Kenya?
My link with Kenya? So my link with Kenya is an organisation or a centre called Mary Rice Disability Centre. So through my travels, I went to the centre to do some volunteering and I was really moved, absolutely moved to the work this centre's doing. So Mary Rice is in Kenya and it's a centre, and when you look from the centre across the road, you see this endless, as far as your eye can see, slums. The slums are called Kibera. 2 million people live there. 2 million. I walked through those streets. I visited the home of the parents of these children, and just walking through the streets, we are so lucky. You know, there's no running water. There's no electricity. It's incredible. Like, you have to walk through it to actually understand the depths and the magnitude of it. And at the centre, all the children come from Kibera. They live at the slums. And some of those children only get the meal when they come to the centre. And we look at the children, you know, some of them got holes in the socks and are dirty. And there's intellectual disability, there's physical disability, you know, there's Down syndrome. And there's only like 6 or 7 teachers. And the way they treat these children, they treat them as human beings. The compassion and empathy, it was just, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It was a no-brainer. Like, I thought, I've got to do something.
You've got to help.
Got to help. But with the projects that we pick, and the projects that we work with, the people, they have to be sustainable. Because it's easy to give money and then that's that. I like to work with projects or programs that are sustainable, that they learn along the way and they can self-sustain. So in the Mary Rice Centre, they have a beading class. So they're teaching children how to bead so that when they're old enough, they can use that skill to sustain their life by earning an income. Because Kenya has a stigma with children with disabilities, to the point where even fathers abandon families because of that stigma. So what's going to happen to these children? So I've brought along, I should show you later, some beaded items to sell, from bags, necklaces and so forth. So we really want to promote that, because if we can get the awareness out, people also can buy and help, you know, these children earn an income. And what's the income for? It's really to eat. To eat. That's the first priority, is to have food.
To survive. To
survive. Those survival basic things that we take for granted, like clean water.
There's water, clean water.
I don't have to think about it twice.
You've really brought it down to, you know, humanity level, what you're doing, and like, we're all affected now. I mean, you know, just listening to you, it's amazing what you're doing. I'm sure that you've had lots of ups and downs and emotional days.
Oh, you go to Kenya and India. It's dusty. It's dirty, you know. Kenya has 40 million people.
It's not Melbourne.
It's not Melbourne and it's not Cyprus. And yes, you have challenges, you know. It's back to the village days of boiling water in some places and a bucket to have a bath. You know, those experiences just make me humble. and I take
very
everything.
humble.
Very humble.
Very grateful.
Yes.
You brought to our attention, and I didn't know that there was such a day, Gratitude Day.
Yes.
And it's the 8th one this year in Cyprus, in the south, which was on the 24th of February. Tell us a bit about Gratitude Day, and I believe, I said to you, why don't we have it here? And you are saying now that fingers crossed, it will be here.
It's not fingers crossed.
It's going to
definitely.
happen.
You know,
So what is it?
year.
Tell us a bit more about Gratitude Day.
So you can hear, you know, we've mentioned the word, we're grateful.
Yeah.
And that's how we came. It's just being grateful after my first, second experience in India. So how it all started was, because I needed to raise funds, I thought, okay, I'm going to open my home, I'm going to cook, and I'm just going to invite as many people as I know to come along, eat the wonderful food that I cook, because I like cooking, and invite them to donate something. I'll share my story and they can donate. And I'm going to call the day Gratitude Day. So we actually have a ritual where on that day we form a circle and everyone just mentions in a few words what they're grateful for. And it's an amazing, amazing experience because people meet people for the first time and they connect. And in that moment of sharing what you're grateful for, something happens, John.
Yeah.
Something happens to us when we stop and we think and we feel what we're grateful for. So it started in my home, and sometimes we have festivals, sometimes friends come along and do music events, but I do love having them in my home. This year, a friend has hosted it in his house. He's Cypriot as well, and he said he'd be honoured. So you know, it happens in different places, in different ways. Yeah, the 8th one, and in India, and in Kenya, in Melbourne, and Cyprus.
So in 4 countries, we're going to be celebrating, or you've celebrated Gratitude Day. Fantastic. I mean, what a great thing that you're doing and bringing everyone together. And as you say, when you stop for 5 minutes and think about what you're grateful for, it's quite an emotional experience, I think. You know, I'm grateful for my health, for my family, for my friends, for having you know, food to eat, water to drink, a roof over my head. And these are all things that we take for granted. So how can we help now? I mean, our viewers who are watching this program would maybe like to help. I mean, we can only help maybe monetarily, you know, giving you money, because obviously physically we can't go to Australia or we can't go to India or Kenya.
Yeah, some people are asking how. Some people can, so that is an option too. If people want to volunteer,
people can volunteer, can't they?
They can contact me. So, you know, we'll put the details up in terms of the email, but we have a Facebook page, Gift a Dream Foundation. So people can get onto Facebook and like the page and they can see all the wonderful videos, photos and the stories. And
also on Instagram, you've got Gift the Dream as well on Instagram, so social media. And so are you looking for volunteers? If somebody here now is inspired by what we're talking about, inspired by you, can they contact you and say, how can I volunteer? Can I volunteer? Are you looking for volunteers?
I'm always looking for volunteers. And, you know, volunteers can have so many different experience, so many different levels of skills that they can help in so many ways. You know, there's campaigns, there's also going to India or going to Kenya if they want to. It's incredible in Cyprus, I've had this big interest, like huge interest in people wanting to go to Kenya. So I'm actually putting that program, and there will be a trip to Kenya with volunteers this year in August, end of August. So that is an option as well. You mentioned monetary, of course, monetary, you know, money goes a long way because it buys food.
Yeah.
It buys the beads for the children to continue beading. It sends kids to school. You know, there's primary school, there's high school, there's college, there's university, there's buying books. And people can donate on our crowdfunding site, Chuffed, Gift and Education 2019. They can also type in Google my name, Ayda, A-Y-D-A, and they'll find it. Really easy. Get on the website, you'll see lots of photos and videos. It tells the story. We also have a Turkish and Greek translation. We have some, so people can just click on the Turkish or click on the Greek or English. Like it's all there, and they can see, they just have to click the donation, also choose what they want to donate for.
Yeah.
It's that simple. But the more money, the more we can help.
And that's the main aim, to help as much as we can. We're going to write the name now, chuffed.org. That's the name of the website. And if you go to Gift Education, you will see 2019 as well. So chuffed.org is the name of the website that Ayda is talking about, or Ayda. I know
Ayda.
That Ayda. I speak in the Turkish way, your original name, but Ayda Sabri is the force behind the foundation that she has established many years ago. An NGO that is really giving the gift of a dream, but these are small dreams, but very important dreams. A dream of education that we take for granted, a dream of a birth certificate that we all take for granted. Small things, but very important things that you're doing, Ayda. And I like this quote: "In joining hands and hearts, we make a difference." The more people that stand behind you, the more you can make a difference. In this journey for the past few years, since 2012, since you established your NGO, how's the response been around you? I mean, obviously you are happy with your journey because you're still continuing, but are you happy that people are joining with you and supporting you 100%?
I think it's not, I don't think of it in the context of them supporting me, because my life is good. I'm very fortunate that although my parents migrated to Australia when I was 3, and they had to start from the beginning. They went with 3 kids, suitcase. My uncle sponsored them, so it's a story of the beginning of a new life. But I'm very fortunate in that I got an education. I have a job. I have a career. So it's not supporting me. I think I'm just the link to supporting many, 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 many other human beings, children and families, wherever we can reach. And it's like this ripple effect, or the butterfly effect they call it as well, because it kind of just like, it flows. And, I still don't even know. I write and develop programs and deliver youth leadership programs in India as well. And every year when I go and I deliver these programs, I always think, I just don't know what impact I'm having. One of those children who will grow up to be an adult, they may be a policy change maker. They may be an agent change maker. They may be, they might be a leader of change. I don't know. I don't know. And that's what is incredible about it. So it's not about me. It's not even about you. It's not about us.
Of course. What I'm saying here, you're right. It's not about you, but what you have been affected. When you went to India, you were inspired to do something, and so you are an inspiration to others. We need a leader. We need a beacon of light to guide us.
Beacon of light. Wow. Okay.
And I think that's what you are as well. I mean, even your T-shirt, "Build a Beautiful Life." You are building a beautiful life for those underprivileged children who might not have got a name on a certificate. And as you say, no name, no identity, they disappear. And that's it. And you're giving these youngsters, these babies, these children, an identity. And who knows who they will be in 20, 25, 30 years' time.
Maybe when we're gone, who knows?
You never know. You never know.
You never know. But the important thing is planting the seed in the mind, and then planting the seed around us and taking the first step. That's what I've learned in my journey. Had someone told me 15 years ago this is what I was going to do, Turkish Cypriot, in Australia, in Melbourne, of a Turkish family, I couldn't have even visualised it. So anything is possible once that seed is in the mind. Yeah. Anything.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
You just have to go out there and do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you've got to do it as well. Don't think about it, just do it. And I'm hoping that our foundation, the connection to me and the connection to everyone around me who is doing, connect to us and get into the action of creation and change and possibility.
As I said before, you are an inspiration to everyone, Ayda, and I think we should learn more about you. As we said before, let me repeat again that it's on Instagram, it's Gift a Dream. On Facebook, it's Gift a Dream Foundation as well. And it's chuffed.org on the internet if you want to go to their money-raising site, and you can donate online. And all the money, every single cent or kurush or American or Australian dollar raised
Or euros.
or euro will go to the foundation. And in fact, you were saying that volunteers, even you yourself, all the expenses you raise, you fund yourself.
Yeah, John, that's really important, and it's important for people to know as well, because there are so many foundations out there, so many NGOs. When I started this work, I was clear that this foundation, our organisation, to be a true philanthropist, we need to pay for our own expenses, and every single cent needs to go into the project. So, John, when you donate to our foundation, you know that it's going to that, and every cent is going to that. So I pay for all my trip. I pay for all my expenses. On top of it, of course, I also sponsor children and put as much money as I possibly can. That's why I also have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And we will continue doing that. We will continue doing that. I think that's being a true philanthropist.
Yeah. To continue as much as you can for always until, poverty is gone around the world. That'll be a big, big dream, maybe in the next millennia. But also, Ayda, just finally,
Yes.
I know you are here a very, very short time. You are actually based in Australia, aren't you?
Melbourne.
In Melbourne. So you're going to be here for another week.
I'm coming back in June, and I've also people have been talking to me about running different programs here in Cyprus.
Yes.
So who knows? I think you're going to see more of me in Cyprus.
That'll be good. I was about to say, we need your energy and your hard work here. So hopefully we'll see you again back on our islands, and let us know how things develop, and if we can share any information with our viewers, our followers at BRT, we'll be more than happy to help you. But I want to wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Good luck for all the events, for your Gratitude Days around the world. And like you said, include us in the Gratitude Day for next year, for 2019.
Oh, you know what? I think you're going to be part of the committee helping me organise it.
Yes, I will be there. I will be there. We'll be helping you.
It's on television, right?
It's on television. This is, it's now, it's going to be out there now.
It's out there. You've said it.
I've said
done.
It.
It's
So
done.
we promise to help you any way we can, Ayda. And thank you for being such a wonderful person and to helping all these children in India, in Kenya. And, who knows, maybe you'll inspire other people to do similar things. Never say never.
And who knows what can start in Cyprus? Who knows? If someone has an idea, or just have a chat with me. That's how it starts. You just don't know. Come and talk to me. I think something needs to also be, and I shouldn't say need, but I think there's opportunities and possibilities here in Cyprus as well.
Yeah.
Come and talk to me.
Good luck with everything, as I said.
Thank you.
Have a safe trip back to Australia. See you soon, hopefully here in the TRNC.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on your short trip.
Thank you very much, John.
More than welcome. And with that, we've come to the end of our chat with the lovely Ayda Sabri. And again, she is on Facebook, on Instagram. You can go to Gift the Dream Foundation. And please, please, think about life and be grateful for what you have, because out there are so many people who are struggling just to even get their name on a birth certificate. Until next time we meet in the studios of BRTK Nefkosha, take care. Bye-bye.